Hey guys, and it is Thursday, and we are having some not hard problems, but difficult, interesting issues that are being issuey. So I'm trying to address them at this point in time and figure out what the heck is going on. First of all, I'm going to message my sister. And see whether she actually downloaded this. What, do we have music at all? And by ambient, we mean no. Do I have any music? Hello, hello, hello. What the heck is going on? Man, I thought about this last night. So I updated to the newest version of Windows last night. Windows 11 225 or 22H2, I believe. And we updated. And ever since this morning, my PC has been super flaky, and we've had a problem since the beginning. Or we have a problem that I'm working on. Hang on real quick. There we go. All righty. Because my kiddo was in a concert at CU. I feel like somebody's ringing a bell somewhere. My kid was at a concert at CU, and they sent a download link, and I can't find it anywhere. I don't know where in the world it went. It's a different bell. So, anyway, I'm just trying to figure out what to do. Because if I need to email them, because the link is, of course, long since gone. And the only thing I can think of is that my wife sent it to me and I somehow lost it. And I'm not sure how that happened. But we are trying to do this. I swear I heard somebody talking at the same time as me. Hmm. All right. Okay, guys. Just trying to figure out where everything went and see if there is anything I can save from this. I'm in my personal drive, so that's one of the reasons why I'm not showing the screen. But I'm not seeing it, so I'm pretty sure that we are probably. Hmm, I don't know. I feel like it. I don't know what's going on. It's just really weird music. Maybe it's praying for my my weird PC problems. I'm definitely having weird PC problems this morning. Microsoft Teams keeps launching, and it's like I don't want Microsoft Teams to launch by default. I'm like, thanks, but I don't need it. Can you hear me this morning, David? Yeah, like last night I updated. Sometimes I keep hearing my voice back, and it sounds weird. I don't know. Yeah, we've been having weird problems with that since. Is my voice strange to you? Hmm, weird. I think I'm done with masks though. There we go. Now At least if we're going to do this, we're going to do porn music. Let's get to work. Meow, 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 meow. 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 That's cool. Let's spin up the monitor. No idea what they're doing over here on NASA, but we'll figure it out. Okay, we're not working on drive safe today. Because at some point very soon, we've got to send this off to the printer. So there we go. I don't even know if everything's spaced properly here. I don't know what I'm doing. What are we doing this morning, David? What are we doing? I don't think anybody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the trouble I see. When you clean monitors, you don't shoot the cleaner directly into the monitor. My monitor has like weird stuff stuck to it, I guess. It's been a while since I've done a good clean of the monitor. So we clean the monitor real quick. Get all this dirt off of it. The problem is the monitor sits at an angle. And so when it sits at an angle, it just gathers dust. It sits and gathers dust. Fine, but you can't draw on it. Every so often, you gotta make sure you go in here and clean it. That way, it just doesn't chew. Really need to get somebody who worked in a cell phone store to come over at some point in time and put the little blue shielding that's on here, because I've got one of those mat things there, screen protectors, and it's a blue screen protector, and Okay. I'm probably drawing tonight. Odds are good. I don't know for sure just yet, but I don't think we have anything counter planned tonight. Thursdays are kind of weird because sometimes things are planned and sometimes things aren't. Let me check the schedule today. What do I got on my calendar today? Are you in tonight? Yeah, you. Because as I recall, we're only really doing Thursdays because you couldn't do Tuesdays, and we like hanging out with you, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind either way. But if you're not going to be there, that does kind of change that. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're going to be there, then I will endeavor to make it tonight. The kiddo has karate until 6:15, so that's why we usually run. But your new schedule will prevent you from being at the drawing club. And that actually is an important thing to answer there, David. If your Does your new schedule prohibit you from making it to the drawing clubs on Thursday night? And if so, I kind of need to know that because I wouldn't mind recovering my Thursday nights. I like hanging out with you. Gotcha, gotcha. That's cool. Unfortunately, Friday for us is the night that we're with friends. Saturday is D&D night. So we could probably move our meetings if everybody wanted to Sundays, and then you could do every other one with us. That might work. Damn it. Okay, there are people talking in this song, which explains why. I'm talking, but I'm not. It's How you doing? You in here to visit? Okay. You can come up here. I'll give you scritches. Yeah. You have to come up here, though. We should definitely discuss that tonight or at the meeting. That's all right. It's all good. David and I have been sitting here just chatting away. And George and I have been chatting too. And George has been George. Yeah. Your paws are all cold. Where have you been standing that's so cold? Goofy cat. All right. Nope. And a little overzealous in adult bits. The whole idea behind doing this was so that I could spend a little bit more time concentrating on line work. But that means I should concentrate on line work. All that work. It wasn't all that work, I guess. That's kind of misnomer. Boring. There we go. Now we have to make sure she's sealed up, otherwise this is not going to end well. That's just so that it's sealed. I don't think we actually need that part of this at all. Make sure that that part is sealed up. Nice. That way I don't have to worry about this at all. And also, we need to fill this with water like that because it's part of this seat bag, which is we won't actually be able to see what's going on. Put the deck underneath it. That's you. You can delete. Deselect. There we go. Okay. Do some here. Yeah, the prequels. That's what we're working on right now. Is the we're working on that prequel. You are doing this wrong. I just realized we didn't do one step because we're asleep. That's right. Didn't go that far. I'm like, things look weird. Why do things look so strange? Oh, I know why things look so strange. Because we should be doing this on the underside here, like this. That was a noise. All right. I know the problem is. I'm like, why is this not taking? Oh, I get it. Also explains why that's not taking. No, it is. Really? I'm like getting all into the drawing and not realizing that making it really hard to do the job because I'm being too clever with my drawing. I mean, because this picture is pretty kick butt. It's also really hard to fill in because all the color codes are wrong. Or not color code, but I didn't patch in all of the. I didn't finish the patch on things. You're right. I'm always just a little too clever for my own bits of mind. We decided that Miro was no longer running that super black hair. Right? We decided that, as cute as that was, that's hard to read. Oh. Now we get to play the game. Where's the leak? Did you animate you? Is that what you were doing? Wasn't sure who we were animating there. We're on pages. We are on pages. We are compelled to do pages. Oh, man. All right. What I decided is only pictures you have of him, and you screwed it up. Yeah, that's good. Good job. Good job. Cool, bro. Happily have you here. You know how that goes. We have work to do. We always have work to do. Oh. All right. Now let's get our dialogue in here. Actually, we should go ahead and just turn this on work. Then we can duplicate it. Oh, man. I make it. All right. You're just going to be really stubborn about this. Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd be really stubborn about this. I think I chose to do this differently. And I think it works better to just have this be a silent moment here. You decided to do something specific. Order is 12 point. Specific 12 point. Okay. There we go. Anyway. Man, I am not waking up today, guys. That said, still kind of holding in at about page an hour. Since this page was mostly done. Mm-hmm. What will be on here? No. What do you think is going on? Mm-hmm. Need scritches again. This is a scritchy thing. You record scritches. So you can interrupt because you want scritches. And I'm okay with that. We're back to whoop, whoop, whoop. It's a George break. Sometimes Georges just need scritches. Scritchy Georges. Scritchy Georges. You're a good cat. When you're not a screwball. Okay. What color did I decide her restraints were? I didn't. Weird. All right. Fullerton has our.
How's it going?
Hello. Your OBS isn't done yet.
It is. Yes. Yes, it is.
Did he try and make us change into this table?
Wrong one. There we go.
Oh. I'm a pest, says George. I'm still a pest, says George. George's being a pest. Now he's doing the, you looked at me, I will now run at full speed for reasons.
I will not stop.
And I won't stop. Ow. Ow. He's lost now. I'm in here, George. He's got himself lost somewhere in the house. He's like, oh no. There's no humans in here. I must be lost. We'll now start crying. Hey, more coffee. I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, there's me in the face. How you doing, Brent? How's life? Yeah. Long week with work, or what's going on? Yeah, I'm all right. Work's been busy yesterday. Then randomly woke up at like 3 o'clock this morning and started working on this. Then about 6 o'clock, I was like, oh, cool. My body's going to let me go back to bed.
Isn't that nice?
You got 2 more days, Brent. Today and tomorrow. Hopefully. You're almost there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. I woke up at like 3 o'clock. Laid there for like 30 minutes and was still wide awake. And I was like, all right, I'm getting up. We're going to do something. Also, the whole time I'm sitting there like trying to go back to bed, I'm thinking about, I was like, you should draw Kim Jong-il. I was like, I probably should.
You probably should.
It was like a homage piece or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that for school. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Right?
And one person commented on it this morning, and I have no idea how to take it.
If that one person was me, take a compliment.
No. On my post for it, and I still don't know how to take it.
Well, I know, but I don't remember whether I replied to that.
You said something in the chat, yes. Hey, you love it. Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of those listed under. Do you say I love it? Even though we're kind of implying that we love that the guy is dead in it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. Now, I was, if you go to my Facebook guy, and the actual post I made of it, you'll see a comment on there. I'm like, I don't know how to reply to this.
I know. I'm gonna look. I may have to.
Like, I made one comment, and then they replied back, and I'm like, I don't know what to say.
Right. The thing is that I think all of us followed him.
Yeah.
Oh, because Madison?
No. Above him. Above her.
Oh, yeah. Nice attention to detail. Maybe didn't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because that seems
Probably didn't.
kind of tone deaf.
Yeah.
Maybe didn't even know him. I mean,
Probably. You're probably right.
I already had one of my family members PM me in private and go, "You're talking about the leader of North Korea?"
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like, no. Guys,
Why are you sad about North Korea? No,
Right.
that's not what I'm talking about, but okay. I mean, there's clearly a picture attached to that. Family. I totally understand that, like, they probably don't.
it's like
know who this is at all, and that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but still tone deaf.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. 7 years ago, I posted, I'm looking over my power bill. We got an electric car in February, and I'm noticing that it added 200 kilowatt hours to our bill. Summer comes along, and I turned on the AC window unit, 800 kilowatt hours. So for those saying, yeah, you traded gas costs for extra electricity, 200 kilowatt hours is about $16 a month. So I just think that's funny because that was in 2015 when we first got the first Leaf. Yeah, I mean, actually, I was looking at ID Buzzes last night.
Oh, really?
Volkswagen's bus, the new bus that's coming out for Volkswagen. It'll be out next year.
Oh, okay.
It's electric. It comes with either one motor or dual motors, so you can have either 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive. And I think I'm going to try to go for the 4-wheel drive version. But it's it goes about 260 miles on the charge, and I'm thinking this is going to be our like cruising van. We're just going to tootle around the nation in it, you know.
Right.
We'll just plot from place to place and then tootle around in this little van because it's a cute little van and it's effectively a Volkswagen bus. And my wife and I were already kind of planning road trips with it, you know. Just get in there and just kind of tootle around and go on road trips. And so, but it's like people are doing this is a fad, and I'm like, I am seriously considering going all electric in this household. It's been such a benefit, you know. And it's so weird because like hey, you reacted to my I love it. Good job, Colton. Look at us being social.
Right.
Doing our social jobs.
It was like last night I went out for like an hour with my friend. We went to this little place downtown in Rhino.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a cool little bar. It's like a club bar with Art Deco-y, which was really cool.
That is cool.
But like one of my friends, like she's like, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life right now. I'm like, you should go into freaking marketing. Like, you literally, this is what you're doing right now is marketing. And she's like, well, I'm like she's over here like doing like quick posts on Instagram and all this stuff. I'm like, just setting up reels. I'm like, that's marketing right there. Just go into marketing.
I have not figured out reels. That's the thing.
Like I keep trying to get her to do it just because of that. I was like, you're already doing it now and you're really good at it and you're quick and you know how to hype stuff up. So like you'd be perfect for this role.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I'll think about it. I'm like, all right, I'm just letting you know. You're looking for something new and you haven't fully dived into it. Just go jump into it.
Yeah, Colton's buddy. Go do this thing.
She should. I think it'd be great, but
that's kind of like sometimes you just need to have that push. I had that discussion with Dr. Friedman about that as well, and that was her whole thing. Was she was like, well, you could be a doctorate in astrophysics, that would definitely fit you very well, but how would you serve the community?
Right.
What would be your mission on that? And I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know, something. She was like, okay, it's fine, but you're really into how people work. And have you thought about cultural anthropology? And I'm like, what the hell is that? So I looked it up, and it's effectively it's the study of how people interact with one another, and how cultures work, and why do conservatives yell at liberals, and why do liberals yell at conservatives, and I'm like, God damn it, that's exactly what I'm interested in. I mean, the number of times that even on this show we've gotten into discussions about politics, and I'm like sitting there fascinated more by how the people are interacting than the politics themselves. She's not wrong.
Right.
And I'm like, man. So I've been meaning to call. I guess after I get off this show, I'll call CU and see what the story is with it. Can I just join? What do I do? What do I need to do? But I mean, really, she's not wrong at all if you think about the fact that, like, this comic is just one big cultural anthropology treatise. That's all I'm doing here. So I think sometimes you just, in other words, TLDR, because I just totally did I'm going to make this all about me instead of about your friends.
No, you're right. I was just setting up some stuff.
No, I know. I just realized that that's something that irritates me when other people did it, and I do it, and I just did it. But the TLDR is, I think sometimes you just need that friend. It's like, hey, you know what? You really need to do X, Y, or Z.
Kick him in the butt. Like, go do the thing. But physics and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you'd probably fit really well in this scenario. Yeah. But also, like you said, how are you going to benefit the community? Like, how are you going to make that work for you? And plus everybody around you that you actually are trying to do stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, realistically, if I were in cultural anthropology, I'd write papers on how people are doing stuff. How are people interacting with one another? And
right.
Legitimately, I could see that being something that would need that I could actually write a paper about. So,
right.
Oh, that's cool. So apparently, Bob at Avanti Printers
Uh-huh.
has somebody who had an original copy of BattleBot, which was this Hyperbot or something. Hyper BattleBot, I don't remember.
I remember you telling me something about that yesterday.
Yeah, it was written by one of the guys in the Die Group back in the 1980s.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of the original, sort of proto comics that were made by our anime club back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And so he has an original copy he's willing to donate to the convention. And I'm like, really? That's so cool.
That is cool. Now I understand what you meant by the BattleBot thing. Okay.
Yeah. I was
thinking, when you said BattleBots, I was thinking like the show BattleBots. I'm like, hell yeah, BattleBots.
Right?
I haven't seen that in a minute. I think I actually saw one random episode because it was on Hulu or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Hulu has a live TV if you get like... Because I just merged my Hulu and my... I was like, Disney and Hulu are pretty much the same price. If I just merge them, it's like $3. I was like, I'm going to save money.
Sure.
So I merged them, and now that I randomly get live TV streams that pop up on occasion, I'm like, oh, cool, BattleBots. Let's watch this.
Okay. We'll watch that.
Because I remember watching that a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah, so this was 1980 something, and it was Hyper Action BattleBot. He was making fun of the anime titles at the time, which were something like Hyper Action BattleBot or I can't remember.
Something along those lines.
So that's what the point of it was.
Yes. That's cool he has something like that, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's going to be so cool. And she's just messing with it.
Such a big difference. Bada boom. Bada boom. Clean shaven? Not clean shaven.
The funny part is that's like part of his personality. So you
the goatee? Yeah,
you kind of have to put a little goatee on there because that's who he was.
Well, it's funny because like as I'm going through this, I'm like, I forgot you had that, but that is really you. Like the little mole. Totally he has like 3 moles: one on his cheek, the one on his chin, and the one on his forehead. Now, if you don't put them in there, they start like you're like there's something missing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But like it's the things as artists, we have to we observe that more than most people.
Yeah, that is true.
Ooh, that's a lot of small tasks. I'm sorry, Brent. That's a long day. Probably a long month.
A long life.
I thought you were remote.
I think he goes in from time to time.
I mean, it makes sense for you to go in because of the remodel.
I mean, he can answer just fine.
I'll say he's on a remodel, so he's probably in and out of there right now, helping out.
Well, that's why he's sometimes on with us in the morning and printing from his printers. Okay, one other thing I have to remember to do is at some point here I'm going to have to redo my character sheets. Woo, that was a difficult thing. Got a friend who's into the comic, really wants to get his buddy who's a cosplayer to Chang, and so get her the how does the uniform work information. So promised him I would do that, and it's been a rough couple of weeks with a lot of not working here in the Bellatrix universe. So,
Okay.
I got to remember, I'm only really saying it out loud, not because I intend to impart any responsibility on you, but rather just I remember that I need to do these things. So, because once I say it out loud, it's easier for me to remember stuff. So,
Right.
I say that because a lot of people are fixers, and if you say stuff like that, they're like, okay, well, I'll call you every day and remind you. And I don't need that. I just need to sometimes.
I used to be that person.
Yep. So, but and then you have the other people who are like, why do you always make me fix stuff? I'm tired. You know.
I always think it's funny because who was it? My mom's the one that broke me of that. She's like, you gotta stop being this person, blah, blah, blah. So I stopped. And she had the most hardest time with it.
I know.
Because I was helping her out, and she's like, "Why aren't you?" I'm like, "You don't want me. You want me to think for myself. You don't want me to help other people." Hey, Pepper, we got a floor cam.
I know, right? We totally have a floor cam.
I'm looking up to you today.
We're looking up to Pepper all the time.
It's all right. It's all right. I told Bill that he should join because he's not working today.
There you go.
Yeah. But then I was like, oh, it's almost done. Crap.
Well, I mean, we've still got time. I mean, he's still got 30 minutes.
Oh. Since Colton wasn't on last night. Woo.
Yeah, look at that, Colton.
Ooh, those are cute.
They're so adorable.
Oh, that's dope. Okay. Oh, I love your little witch girl.
Yeah.
Are these your Inktober's?
I don't know if I'm calling it Inktober because I'm not following the same prompt list. I made my.
But you're doing a drawing a week every day.
Well, yeah, I'm drawing it. I'm doing, and I am using inks. So, like, I guess in a sense I'm doing Inktober, but it's not like the traditional one.
Right. You're doing your own prompt, but you're at least doing a piece every day.
Yeah. So, like, today I think I'm just going, like, today and tomorrow's is probably going to take both days due to the fact of I decided to just roll with a 2.
Ah.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out on how to deal with it. Because, like, so today's prompt is Formless Familiar. Tomorrow's prompt is Haunted House.
Ooh.
And then each card has to have the witch girl in it.
Right. That's a themed character going through.
Yeah, that's a like.
Unless you want to tell a story with it, and then she randomly disappears, and it's just a character and then she like shows up a few pages later. I don't know.
Well, no, because like, here's the deal. Like when you're doing these, like when you start like a themed character, like then you have to have her in everything, every single part of it. Sit down, Bill. Sit down.
I'm gonna eat my food.
No, you
Hey.
I'm eating the other half.
No, you sit down.
I just microwaved it.
They want to talk.
Well, we
Words
do
from
love
Bill.
your food, but we love you. We just want
Wise words from Bill.
I'll eat my food and then I'll come back.
Okay.
You have to eat it.
All right, you got 20 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah, because the show ends at 11.
Not 5 minutes from now.
Yep. No, you have 5 minutes.
Why is that all blown up like that?
Welcome to my computer. You haven't seen the computer problems we've been having lately.
Messages from Bill.
We
Hold on,
don't.
messages
Bill's
from
walking
Bill.
away.
I'm getting it.
Bill wants his food.
Yeah, Bill wants his food. Bill already ate half of his food, and he didn't eat the other half when we were at the restaurant. So.
And now he's like, I'm going to finish it now. That's a good man. I
I'm
like that.
going to have Navy Salisbury steak today.
You did what to your steak?
Navy Salisbury steak. U.S. Navy style Salisbury steak. I made it last night.
I
So I found a
saw it. It's
recipe
tasty.
online from the Library of Congress. And I was like,
I am going to be making chicken marsala or mushroom marsala.
Yep.
Today.
Bless you.
We're
Thank you.
sneezing Marsala.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a whole bunch of fresh thyme and rosemary in the backyard. So I figured
You can grow thyme.
Yeah, I grow thyme. Yeah. It's why my face looks so young, but yet my hair grays.
Now, see, that was a good yes and.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you. Thank you for playing off that one.
Good job. That was a cool yes and. Well done. Because I'm like, at first I was like, I don't think he caught on. I don't think he caught on, Colton.
Oh,
I
he
don't know
totally
if he
did.
caught on.
Thank you.
And this
Oh, that was good.
is why we're here every morning, because just drawing is boring if you're not careful. This is fun.
This is why we all hung out at
It's
shows.
totally true.
Is it time for lunch?
Yeah, it's time for lunch. Well, you can start lunch, I guess. I don't know.
Brent must know. Brent must know if he can be finally. He finally has time for lunch.
No, I think I sent that Rickroll thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You.
I sent the
That
Rickroll
was
thing.
actually,
Not
like,
only you
really
guys.
well done.
I also sent it to Oi Bob.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually watched it like 3 times because I'm like,
Right.
is this happening? What I think's happening? It is. How
Yeah.
dare you? And then I watched it again. Like I watched it the 3rd time to just watch the animation. I was like, they did this really well.
I know.
Yeah, the
right?
animation's really good.
'Cause at first I thought it was like, are they rebooting it? I was like, who's this character?
Yeah.
And then the second one, I was like, wait, I know this song. Third one was like, huh, that's really well done.
Yeah. Well, and what I found,
It was a roller coaster for me.
If you don't know, I found and came across, and I think I shared it on Facebook, nowhere else. It is an anime, starts off as the beginning of Neon Genesis Evangelion. And then instead of the normal music words, they paste it with
Rickroll.
with a Rickroll. And Shinji is now replaced
By the singer.
Rick Ainsley. And it's just so well done because it's like they took the same character style and they turned Rick Ainsley into
An Evangelion character.
to an Evangelion character. And it's just like, wait, what? And like,
It is
I
human.
did the same thing as Colton. Like, I watched it like 3 times just to make sure I was looking at it properly. Because, like, at the first time I looked at it, I was like, when did Shinji start singing? I'm like, this is it. And I was like, oh my god, I just got Rickrolled.
It was actually the first thought in my head. I was like, if they're rebooting it, did Asuka and him have a baby? Because he has red hair. And I was like,
Yeah, right?
what? And then I was like, wait, I know this song. Aww. I was like, where are they going with this story? I'm really confused now.
Yeah.
That was
Honestly,
a good one,
like,
though. Whoever made that, props off to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Whoever made that was on it.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, like the new stuff that's coming out from Evangelion is like in the form of like movies.
Which
So you
I
have, like,
love them.
like 111, 222, 333, 444.
Yeah.
Are-
444 still is the last one that came out.
They're rebooting it. Well, okay. So Evangelion has a horrible history.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many different storylines. There is a whole entire manga about what was it? So like the first Evangelion movie that they did, they inserted like an alternate universe where Shinji and all of them like it plays out differently.
Mhm.
And Rei is like this bubbly schoolgirl in
Yep.
it and stuff. And they did an entire manga series just on that one thing that they blipped in.
Sure. Well, so here's the thing about Evangelion. It was a last-ditch effort by Studio Gainax. Gainax was actually on its way out.
Oh, that was their Final Fantasy?
Huh?
Yeah, that was Final Fantasy.
It became sort of their Final Fantasy, but they ran out of money by the end of it. And so they were doing all kinds of things to try to save the story without having to run animation. Why the last 2 episodes are like just stills. Nothing happening.
Oh, so that's why the animation feels like it kind of drops off at the
It
end.
totally drops off. They ran out of money. They couldn't pay for anybody anymore. And they were ready to close their doors and everything like that. So much so that a buddy of mine was working at Artmic in Gainax at the time. And she was like, I went downstairs to get a drink at one point in time because I was helping.
And I heard crickets.
No, and like the writer was sitting in a chair crying. He was just because they had totally mangled his scripts and they'd screwed up everything to try to make it fit.
Right.
And he was just sitting in the chair crying. And then, because the way that it works, they put it out there and it was an epic hit. It just was super big. It was a big deal. And the merchandising completely changed everything. And it recovered Gainax from literally the dead. And Studio IG finally came back from production IG finally came back from the dead. And Gainax came back from the dead because of just on solely on Evangelion. But everybody felt that the last 3 episodes didn't make sense. And so
now we know why.
There was a reboot for it. Then they put the movies out to kind of try to bridge stuff, but they were patching this entire time. They'd been patching the story together again to bring it back to where Hideki Anno wanted it.
That makes way.
And so it's one of the reasons is that it's hard because they're trying to deal with these 2 different problems, which is, problem number 1, how do you deal with the fact that canonically all that weird crap happened in episode 24, 25, and 26 canonically. So how do you deal with the fact that that was really just them kludging together as much as they could to throw it out the door so they could clear it when they had no money?
So they don't just stop it at like episode 15 and they actually were trying to go for 19 episodes.
Right. So
I can't remember what number there was, but yeah, I know
it's the last 3 of the episodes. So whatever it is, 22, 23, 24, 24, 25.
Wherever they ended,
wherever it was.
By the way, the original series that came out, that did not age well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did because it was a complete changer of culture. So you have to kind of take it and look at it versus, say, Bubblegum Crisis, right? Versus Bubblegum Crisis, it's insane. The animation is incredible. Everything is completely over the top. Yoko Kanno was a relative unknown at the time. She had only really scored Macross Plus at that point. And so when she rolled out on Evangelion, we were all like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, and this is before Cowboy Bebop and things like that. So,
Dragon.
yeah, Trigon. So, I mean, like a lot of things, the thing about Evangelion is that it was in a spot where they desperately needed something. And anime was hitting a feedback loop at this point in time, a weird feedback loop. The anime culture itself in Japan was starting to die. The studios were dying. Nobody was picking them up. Morning shows in Japan were relegating out anime in favor of news shows and things like that, so that the culture was starting to fade. So what happened was, all of a sudden in the early 90s, we happened over here in America, and they realized there was a market. And they weren't getting drowned by dubbing stuff like they did, because Sailor Moon was sort of a watershed in that one.
That's what they made Sailor Moon Crystals, because that's what they actually wanted it to be.
Well, yeah, but I mean, when they were bringing Sailor Moon over in the first place, they brought Sailor Moon over, put it on TV, redubbed it, changed all the characters' names and everything like that, made Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus cousins.
Oh yeah.
And the fans, the anime said, "Hey, we caught you. We caught you in the act. You can't do that."
Right.
And DIC, which is who got it, decided to hand it back over because they were like, "We're not getting anywhere with this."
Actually, no, they didn't. They didn't hand it back over. They got into a contractual dispute.
They did.
And because of the length of dispute, they lost the rights.
They lost the rights. But either way, the important thing is DIC lost Sailor Moon, so Sailor Moon came back under Kodansha, which was a completely different thing all of a sudden, and it's been repurposed back to its original mode. And everything's been put back where it was. And the names, now people can just accept Usagi as the main character's name. That's totally acceptable now. But they were doing the thing before, you know, she was called Bunny and weird stuff like that, and it was just the weirdest stuff. But now she's Usagi, and everybody gets it. And everybody's totally willing to just accept Usagi's name.
Yeah, her first American name was Serena.
And Bunny.
And, yeah, not Bunny. Bunny was her nickname, and they only called her that, like her family were the only ones that called her that.
And it's because Usagi is Bunny in Japanese. Yeah. And that makes total sense. So they were trying to make it fit.
She became Rainy, so like
became Amy, and that was okay. And Ray just stayed Ray.
Ray and Amy were and I just had this discussion not that long ago. Ray and Amy were the only ones that had their original name.
Yep.
And Minako and Minata, they became Lena and Mina.
Yeah. Motako. Because her
name it's an O9. It's Motako, yeah, you're right.
Makoto. Sorry, it has Mako. It has tree in it. So, because of course, everything she does is tree related. So,
well, she's based off of the planet Jupiter, and I believe one of her attacks involves an oak tree.
Yep.
As called.
Mm-hmm. So that whole thing, the big thing about Evangelion is that it just changed the culture. It revitalized, almost single-handedly revitalized the anime industry in Japan.
Sci-fi
and brought back the big mecha industry. Gundam was already fading out. Because at that point in time, the only thing that was out there was 0083 Stardust Memory for Gundam.
Yeah.
And they were already starting G Gundam, which wasn't Universal Century, and it was really weird, and it was like bizarrely out there in a different timeline, and I don't know. And so that revitalized Gundam and brought them back to Universal Century. which is great because I still don't understand why Gundam decides to wander off UC. It really shouldn't ever.
Why Gundam what?
So Gundam has a main timeline, the Universal Century timeline. In that timeline, Side 5 was thrown to Earth and crashed on Earth.
Yeah.
And when they dropped the sides are the huge colonies.
Uh-huh.
When they drop the side, it devastates Earth, completely wipes out Earth, right? So, but then they keep having these, oh, we regret that decision. So they have these, let's pretend that didn't happen and this happened instead. Like, just stay with Universal Century, guys. You already did it. Just
Were they trying to like, oh, there's, yeah, I know you're talking about.
because that's why G Gundam takes place not in Universal Century. And it's like
That's the like fighting one, right?
It's Dragon Ball Gundam. Who the hell?
Excuse me.
But like,
Hey, Bill's back.
Wing came out, and Wing and X were both in Universal Century finally. And I heard Blood Orphans is definitely Universal Century, but Unicorn
Is the new one Witch in Universal Century?
yes,
Mercury Rich or something like that.
for the drop of Side 5. So that all takes place before the Witch of Mercury.
Yeah.
I'm so in. We're just chatting about anime randomly. Sorry, Bill. Hi, Bill. How you doing?
How was lunch, Bill?
It's good. Technically, it was breakfast. I was just eating the other half of it.
How was brunch?
I'll go downstairs in a little bit, and I'm going to reheat some of my Salisbury steaks that I made yesterday. I made Salisbury steaks, and I used the U.S. Navy recipe from like 1905. It was pretty cool. I found it in the Library of Congress.
If you like that, check on YouTube for, I think it's Max Miller Food History. And he finds recipes from like long ago and he makes them.
Oh, that's cool.
And he gives you a little history lesson about what was going on at the time and how it came about, the recipe and all that stuff. Pretty good.
That's cool.
Oh yeah. I mean, like that was what was fascinating. Is because of course there's nothing new about Salisbury steaks. What cracks me up is that the name Salisbury steak comes from a completely different, like, it's a weird source. It's not a weird source. Salisbury steak comes from the Dr. L.H. Salisbury at the time was saying we should really add more meat to our diets as the U.S. We should do that. And so the Navy picked up a whole bunch of meat and shipped it out to the ships and said, here we go. I want you guys to make pan steaks. So start doing it. And they were like, okay, says Dr. Salisbury, so these must be Salisbury steaks. And that's where the name comes from. I think that's fascinating to me because, like, the name of the steak has nothing at all to do with the guy.
Right.
What it's named after. Like, he never did anything to do that. He just said, we should eat more meat. We need more meat in our diets. We need more protein. And
so he's
ship
Luffy.
out the meat.
So he's Luffy from One Piece, right?
yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
Good way to
exactly.
put it.
So that's where Salisbury steak comes from. And so I made some last night. It was pretty cool. And the recipe is actually stupid simple. Of course it is, because you had to make it for 500 men on a ship. And you had to do it in like an hour, and you had to make 500 of them. So that
Sounds kinky.
do what?
Doesn't it sound kinky?
Yeah, probably. I mean, Navy. So
I mean, we are talking about the Navy.
we are talking about the Navy.
Salisbury steaks had to be, done for 500 people or more.
500 men.
500 men. That must have been one exhausted cook.
Nick probably was. I think there's a little army of it, but yeah.
Where'd my weight go?
An army on a Navy
You
ship.
lost
Oh,
your legs, Colton?
Huh?
Did you just say you lost your legs?
No, I was wondering where my line went, but it's because I was hiding a selection and I didn't realize I was not selected in that area.
Whose line is it anyway?
I
Yeah.
love that show so much.
It was a
Oh
good
my
show.
God. That show is great in the British version, and it's great in the English version, which is amazing because usually the British version brings it over here, and you're like, But I mean, really, they brought Ryan Stiles and Colin Mockery, and that's actually like, the reason.
I don't know if
And
you've
then
already,
they brought Wayne. Oh
I
man,
don't know if you've already talked about it, but in the last minute, did you see that? I think it's on HBO Max. Hugh Laurie is going to do a sci-fi series. It's a ship-based sci-fi series.
oh, you mean whatever it is, Avenue 5 thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. I'm like, and he's the captain,
Mhm.
which
I mean, I like him, so I mean, maybe.
yeah. Which that's a twist for him because he's, he was House and you're used to him as House, and now he's going to be this like bizarre captain. I don't know. I'm in. Usually comedies are hit and miss for me in sci-fi, so I'll have to see. Sometimes they take the science just a little too weakly, and I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm out. I'm like, I can't deal with it anymore. You guys are weird. But
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it would be the first season. Well, I guess I'm behind.
Huh.
yeah, I haven't had HBO in a while. We had HBO some deal, and then I don't know what happened.
I know I have a friend that keeps telling me things that are on HBO right now, and I'm about to go get a subscription again.
Right, because like I want to kind of see the House of the Dragon thing because people are saying stuff, and I didn't mind Game of Thrones. I didn't.
They're saying there's a Studio Ghibli like just chill feature in HBO now, where you can just turn it on. It's like ambiance Studio Ghibli, and they just do all the backgrounds. That's it.
I just want to point out that it is the most. It is the best thing ever. Like when you're needing to do stuff around the house, you can just.
Oh, so that isn't a lie. That's actually true.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it will play like movies. It'll just play autoplay movies for you and everything.
That's insanity.
Now this is actually the reason why I almost bought it. Like, got my subscription was because of the Studio Ghibli thing. I was like, no way, I gotta see this.
Actually, we have something happened to our copy of As the Wind Rises, and so the one on HBO Max doesn't have the same glitch in it. So like I can watch it there, but I can't watch it at home.
Brent, I think it's also because the reason why I say like I agree with you on why it's probably better is the same reason for that Star Wars movie.
Rogue One?
Yeah, Rogue One. Because all the characters are leading to death. You already know they're not going to be extended, so they don't have to really worry so much about how do we keep this person alive.
Right.
And they do it in bad ways.
Yeah.
And now they can just kill them off and be like, cool, let's just kill them in the way that they're supposed to die.
Well,
another thing is a lot of people were very offended by Game of Thrones in various ways, like it didn't follow the books and whatever. I actually didn't mind it. You know what I mean? Like I had no real problem with it. It was actually
it followed the books pretty well up to like I think season 3, and then it derailed because there was no books available.
Book. Yeah, it's not like you could follow the books. There was no book to follow. So.
Right.
Well, it's kind of like in anime when they haven't produced any manga to fill in the rest of the story. They kind of like the studio kind of fills in,
AKA Bleach,
AKA Naruto, AKA One Piece, AKA Dragon Ball did it occasionally.
It is true.
I only know is like Bleach would do seasons of filler.
Well, okay, first of all, the creator had a lot of health issues doing it.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like they were notorious for like literally like this. It would be, here's the book, now we get like 2 or 3 seasons of filler. Here's another book. Here's 2 or 3 seasons of filler. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
It's why I will never put my
Like
comic
One
out.
Piece. The thing I can't get behind One Piece is as soon as you get to like a certain arc, like way farther in, when everything just finally starts taking off for them before they get to the time skip arc, they start doing everything. Like every episode is now in technically 15 minutes because you get 15 minutes of filler of like what happened last week, and then you get the 15 minutes of the show, then you get 15 minutes of the next week, and then I'm just like,
we're finishing up the 7 arc.
the which arc?
Where they rescue Robin and get the new ship.
Oh, that's a good one because they haven't started doing that yet. You'll see it later on.
Yeah. So like
way later on. So like you're in a good arc. You're in a good arc. That was one. That was one of my favorites.
But I was telling him, I'm just like, the story's still going on, and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, they're like on like chapter 1045, something like that. And the work on the final chapter doesn't begin until 2023. So
Yeah, but he's finally doing it. That's good.
I need someone to take the time and effort on any anime, really, to take all of the episodes and then give me like an abridged version where they take out all the reviews and all of the repeat scenes and all of that. You can
Don't do that for God's sake, if you that was Sailor Moon, you'd have 4 minutes.
Right?
are you talking about the new Sailor Moon?
By the way, guys,
Still...
as a side note, I absolutely adore Sailor Moon.
No, but are you talking about Crystal, or are you talking about the old show?
I'm talking about the old stuff. The old stuff, Sailor Moon, was like 4 minutes of new animation, and the rest of it was all transformation sequences.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Did you see the announcement of the new Sailor Moon? The final chapter of Sailor Moon, we're getting it as a 2-video release again?
That'd be good. So, yeah, like I said, I want to be absolutely clear. I love Sailor Moon to the end of the earth. And so when I mock Sailor Moon, it is with great love. Because there's a lot of love for Sailor Moon. It was not only was it a major shift in anime, but it's my best friend's favorite anime. And so and I was living with him for a very long time. So there was Sailor Moon scrolls and there were Sailor Moon posters. You know, I'm a mecha anime and space anime guy. So usually for me, what are you doing? You causing mess problems again? I know you were in trouble, right? George being George.
George is trouble? What?
Right?
This is not true.
All shocked, aren't you?
George is over here telling you it's 11 o'clock. But
George,
I gotta go because of
going,
school.
it's like 11:07.
It's 11:07. You got to go to work. I'm gonna go ahead and call CU Boulder, I think, and see what it would take to get back into school for a doctorate in cultural anthropology.
Not much.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think I will do that. I will get off of this stream here today, and I will report back to you guys tonight and tell you guys how that went.
I am probably
Don't do loans. We've already seen
Yeah,
that.
actually, that's a big push. That so I didn't get to tell Bill this story. So I've got a buddy who is a PhD in cultural, not anthropology, but she's got a cultural PhD in Japanese American culture. And she shows up a lot at our convention. And she and I had been talking, and she was like, you should go back to school and get your PhD. And I'm okay, that makes some sense. But, I'm locked down because I'm in the stupid student loans problem right now where my degree has been nullified because the school wasn't accredited when I was there. They told me they weren't. And so they won't nullify my student loans, and I owe $70,000 at this point in time. and they won't nullify them. But I also don't have I don't have a BS. I don't have a bachelor's degree anymore. So the degree is null. So I can't use my degree to get a better job to pay my student loans, which is the whole point in the first place. So I'm still fighting with that as to whether I can nullify them and stuff like that. There's issues there. And I said, so once I figured that out, I might go back to school, but this time I'm just going to go to CU Boulder, which is definitely accredited and definitely not going to be screwed up. And she was like, okay, but you don't have to pay. There are ways to make this work so you don't pay for it. Let's talk to me so that we can make this work, because I can help you. I've been through the system. I can help you. So she's going to help me. I mean, I may have to pay a little bit for my bachelor's, but there's ways to make the master's and the PhD pay for themselves. Like, be a teacher, be a TA, be stuff like that. And I would love that. A lot of
people, if I could, that's like right now, if I could actually work on campus and whatnot, they could pay for pretty much the majority of my schooling.
Yeah, they pay for it.
That's out in San Francisco.
Right. The problem is in San Francisco. But for me, I'm in Arvada.
Well, I also found out that
is just up the street. You know what I mean? Like, Boulder wouldn't be a problem to get onto campus.
Well, I found out a lot of things through my friend. He's from California, and he was explaining a lot of how tuition works for colleges in California. If you're an actual resident. I was like, wait, what? And he starts explaining it more to me. I was like, if I was an actual resident, he's like, yeah, if you go move out there right now, and you're a resident there for at least a year, and the longer of a residency you have as a Californian, you get more benefits within your schooling. I'm like, so I'm doing this backwards. What the heck am I doing? Right. I didn't realize this. But that's also because like their cost of living is so high that they're trying to get people to go to school to get higher paying jobs so they can actually still stay there.
Right.
I was like, this makes so much more sense now. He's like, yeah.
It totally does. And
so I was like, well, shoot. Now if I really want to commit to this school, I'm going to have to go out there and if I want to make this cheaper.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So the long and the short of this is, I think we were talking about this, and I wanted to go back and get an astrophysics degree, but the math is going to be really hard for me. I had a bad math teacher in third grade that pretty much drove me off of math completely, to the point where I really don't believe I'm good at math at all right now. So, but I could do it. I just have to struggle. But she was saying that you know, she was like, well, here's the thing. What would you do? What would you do if you? How would you contribute back to society if you were an astrophysicist, a doctor in astrophysics? She's like, do you really want to go sit and look at stars all the time? And I'm like, oh, I happily do that. She's like, yeah, but that's kind of something you might want to think about. And yeah, I know, after the star charts. But then I thought, she was like, what about cultural anthropology? You spend a lot of time talking about how people interact with one another. You're fascinated by the way people build economies and cultures and societies and things like that. You could write papers and books about that. And you'd be into that. And I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. And she's like, and that could help people. I'm like, ooh, that really could help people. And I'm like, so that's why I've been thinking about cultural anthropology. I mean, like, you know, Bill, we've had this discussion. I'm fascinated by not the liberals versus the conservatives in the politics. I'm fascinated by the liberals versus the conservatives. I'm fascinated by that part. I'm not interested really in what Obama did or what Trump did or what Biden did. I'm fascinated by the fight, the conflict between the two. And
why you guys are fighting.
Yeah, why is everybody fighting? That interests me more than the actual politics. And I actually get so frustrated whenever I start talking about that and everybody's like, but Biden did, but Trump did. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm interested in why you believe this happened. You know, I'm like, I looked into this thing. It didn't happen. Why do you still believe it did? You know, or whatever. That stuff fascinates me.
Oh, so you're like my favorite guy was the Daily Show guy. He would go into like the Trump rallies and like the Biden rallies, start asking him random questions.
Right.
Like one guy, he was like, where was Obama on 9/11? Like, he should have been here. He was doing nothing. And then the guy's just sitting there looking at him. He's like, so 9/11 happened when? And the guy says the year. And he's like, okay, cool. When was Obama in office? And he says the year of that. He's like, I think you just answered your question. And the guy just kind of was like, all you heard was crickets. And the guy's just like, what? Yeah, Kepler. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just was laughing because I'm like, that's kind of like what you're doing, like what you're wanting to do is like, I don't care, but your logic doesn't make sense right here.
It doesn't matter to me what your politics are. I'm fascinated by why you got to this spot. You know, that interests me more than anything. How did you get here?
How did we get here?
Frustrating as the EV thing is for me, it is more frustrating because I actually own an EV. And it really is a better car than my gas car, like all metrics. But there is this big, oh, no, it's not. And people will literally tell me it's not. And I'm like, I own one. Private. And it's fascinating to me because they presume that because I'm liberal, I must be, rose-colored glasses. And I'm like, I'm a geek. My geek presupposes all liberal stuff, and it's a machine. And I'm into machines. And I'm like, no, I did the research. I did the numbers. But that fascinates me. And I'm like, why did you get here? Do you own an EV? No, you don't. So how do you know? Sort of thing. Like, how do you know?
I need your facts. Give me your facts.
I totally get that there is a political aspect to it. And I totally get that there are problems with the politics. Totally understand that. And I can see it, but it has nothing to do with whether my Nissan Leaf is a better vehicle than my Volkswagen Jetta. Side-to-side comparison, that Leaf is the fastest car I have ever driven. And I have driven some 8-cylinder monsters, and I'm like, that Leaf still will blow things. I raced the other day some 5-liter Mustang with SS badge, TT badges on it because they don't have SS for it. And it was like, blew the doors off of it. Just blew the doors off of it in a little just stock standard Leaf. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Anyway, I didn't mean to get into that. The problem is that I do get biased in my own world, and then I do get caught up in my own stuff. And so it would be fascinating to go to college and have them train me to not get biased in my own stuff. It could be horrible.
See, I think there's always a little bias in everybody's.
There's always a little bias, but
there's bias in college too. So
there's biases in college. There's biases in everything, but the point of science is to teach you how to mitigate your biases as much as possible because it's hard to mitigate biases. So that's
provided you have good educators that are teaching that.
Well, and that's one of the other things. Cultural anthropology isn't exactly what I'd call, high politics per se. It's not like, going in for engineering on oil rigs or something like that, which I'm sure is just absolutely loaded with politics. How you do it and where you do it, I'm sure is all just so. Anyway, yeah, and
right. I'll let you guys continue talking. I gotta get going.
Yeah, I need you to go to work.
Thank you, Brandon.
Conversations, but I don't want to I know you all have to go. So.
No, Guy doesn't have to go anywhere. I don't think he has anything till 2.
Nope. I actually don't even have anything at 2 because they canceled that meeting.
Oh, perfect. So you guys can talk.
That's why I'm here drawing. That's why I'm here drawing instead of doing work on the school thing. So. Bye, Colton. I love you, Colton.
Bye, Colton.
So, Bill, how you doing, bro?
Not too bad. I took off from work. I was getting a little bit of burnout, and this company is really good about acknowledging that that's a thing and taking time to not get burnt out. So,
excellent.
Because I had to spend time creating automation to deploy infrastructure for database and services that are proxies to that database, and none of it existed. So I had to do it from the ground up.
Oof.
And infrastructure-wise, that's a lot. So it's like every step you're like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Okay, but you can't do that thing because this thing doesn't support this thing. That thing doesn't support that thing. So you have to figure out how to do it. It's just every step of the way you're fighting the system to make it happy so that all of those bits go out. And it's just like, I did all that, and now it's like my brain's frazzled, and it's like, I'm going to take a day or two.
Sounds like a plan. I don't know. I kind of feel like being an artist means that I don't usually take breaks. Although I was kind of being burned out a little bit earlier this week.
Most cerebral career paths, I mean, even artists, I imagine, most, if it's a physical job and you're out on a job site, right, they're always about, don't get exhausted, don't wear yourself out, take breaks, and there's all that stuff. But for people in cerebral positions, it's like managers don't get, like, the brain gets tired too.
Right. And I agree.
Batch scripting is fun.
Yeah.
I've done Bash scripting, Perl scripting, I've done Ruby scripting, Python scripting. I've done it all.
Yeah, my
Terraform scripting.
my nibbling is interested in Python. And that's
cool.
the thing that they're starting to get into. And I'm very pleased because Python is great for making Daz Studio do Daz Studio stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Daz Studio is what I generally use for animation as an animation tool, and would be really nice if I could hardwire wrangle it instead of having to fight it like I'm doing it.
So there's for kids, and if like Python is too advanced, there's Scratch, which he developed as like an introductory, extremely high level language for kids.
That's what my son's into is Scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Boy. But the nibbling is 18, so they're crossing into the border of, the nibbling's 18, my kiddo is 12, so he's into Scratch, and that's not a problem.
18, I'd probably go a little lower level to Python or Ruby.
That's where they're at, is Python.
Yeah, both are dynamic, both are high level abstractions of stuff, so you can just plug bits in and they'll work. It's definitely more technical. So you at 18, you want to be a little bit older for that, but
yeah, they're looking at a degree in computer science of some sort. So
applied science,
no,
branch of mathematics, branch of medicine, and branch of economics.
Computer, stop.
I just imagine it's all depressed back there. It's like, I was just trying to help.
I know, right? All like sad now.
So
I try to be nice to the computer when the computer's being helpful. You're being helpful.
Computer science is one of those things where you won't necessarily learn programming. You'll learn all of the more more macro view of computer science.
Yeah.
You won't learn more of the details and get into coding with computer science.
Right.
So you want like a programming degree if you want that. But there's so many different, now there's ML, machine learning. So you could really dive into machine learning and coding or other stuff in coding. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I have faith that they know what they're doing. And so
they don't really teach you that. Like when you're in high school, they'll give you this one paragraph description about what a degree is and what it's for, but that doesn't really tell you anything.
I agree. It's funny, Brent. You were seeing that. See you later, David. You were saying that you always thank your Alexa. I do too. And recently, my Alexa's been going, "You're very welcome," and I'm like, added a whole level of creepy to that. But I mean, I come from the Sonia Gomez school of this. She was the one that was like, I think you should be nice to me. And Jordy's like, okay, whatever, dude. No.
Well, you mean one day when our technology overlords come, they'll have a record of all the times you were nice, and maybe they'll let you live.
I'm already set up for when our robotic overlords take over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, I was nice to you.
Remember, I was nice to you once. Oh God, please don't kill me.
So.
Yeah. So this entire scene, Captain is naked. So that's why you're watching my face and not my drawing. Because I have been having to draw this scene, which is in the. If anybody wants this will be in the Omake, the additional thing. If you guys are really into seeing Captain Cochrane naked, I guess. We certainly can.
Pepper's gone over to draw on his other desk. So
That works. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of start working on finishing this off. It's be finished off at some point here.
I'm planning on working on my mom. She brought over, like you already know about the film reels. We also have slides and negatives and all that. So I'm going to work on scanning them in and cleaning them up a little bit and then digitally pushing them up.
I have a slide converter for a camera.
Our scanner takes slides. You can put on
Yeah, but I have found that scan doesn't. The scan, when you scan in a 3-inch slide or a 1-inch slide, the problem with it is that even at unless your scanner is like 2400 DPI optical.
It's 4800
DPI. Okay, well then maybe it's fine. Because this monster back here, he's only 600 DPI optical, and so when I scanned in slides, I mean they were this big.
Yeah.
You blow them up, and then it'd just be like it was like 1 megapixel pictures from the early days of digital film, and I'm like, So what I did was I got this adapter that screws onto the front of my camera, and then you put the slide in and you light up from the back, and then you can adjust the, it just, that's what I did with my dad's slides. I just went over to his house, one time, and then he could tell me all the stories of them while I was putting one slide in, click, slide, click, slide, click, slide, click. Do really nice, because of course my camera is effectively, I guess 1500 DPI or something really weird because the cameras come out with different resolution. But that worked really well. Anyway, if you've got 4800 optical and it's not 4800 interpolated, then you're fine. The biggest problem I've got is this guy he's 2400 interpolated, but the real optical is 600, which means that when he scans something this small, he's trying to guess all of the stuff in there to interpolate that to make it 2400, but it's not.
I'll have to look into it. It's an Epson Precision 4990 photo. It was built to do exactly this.
Yeah, so let me.
It's definitely old. I got it way back in the day. I paid a lot for it, so I hope it does pretty good.
You said 490?
4990. 4990.
Optical is 4800 by 9600, so that's not bad.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, optical is the number you want to look at for that. Because it says 12,800 DPI, right? It says it right there. It's like, we can do that with this zoom function. That's interpolated. It's not the actual the sensor did not pick up all of that data. It's guessing in between by using JPEG algorithms or something, and that's why I'm always like, okay, you can do whatever you want over there, dude, but you're actually doing the thing,
And I'm thinking of breaking the film out of the slide mount, doing a liquid mount to a special glass pane that you can get for it, and then scanning that and then remounting it in one of those plastic snap together ones, and then putting it away for archiving and just get it out. But
I thought building over here on this section right here, because I've got this set up, I was going to build a mount for my camera, for my phone, oddly, because actually my phone right now is a higher DPI than my camera. I'm going to get a new body shortly because I've been making enough money in photography that it's time to upgrade my body. But at the moment, the body that I've got is only 15 megapixels, and this guy's 20 megapixels, so he shoots better. But I've been thinking about, the old microfiche that we used to have? They had that thing where it had the glass plate, and you put the microfiche on, and when you slid it in, the plate pressed it closed. And I've been thinking about doing something similar where you just get a glass plate and have it on a hinge. Or it can be a plexiglass. It doesn't actually have to be glass. It can be plexiglass. But then whenever you just lock it down and then maybe put a little lever over it so that it presses it down to make sure that it stays down.
Right.
And then it'll hold it, and you can take a picture straight down through it. And it probably should be glass because I think plexiglass would kind of take some of the color out. But if it was a thin enough piece of plexiglass or glass or whatever, it wouldn't disturb the picture too much. And then you have a mount. I've got a thing.
You might want to look at liquid mounting, wet mounting for that.
Yeah.
You could first wash the microfiche, and then you could liquid mount it. And then if you had not with your phone, but if you could do an infrared capture, you could then clean it up with infrared filter.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about wet mounting, and I was like, that's pretty close to something I was already thinking about. So, this guy here, because I've been kind of. So this thing is cool. This is my Olivia, but it's set up so you bolt it down, and then it holds your phone up on this thing, right? And this little, you can rotate that and then lock the phone in because you can see it's spring mounted. There we go. It's spring mounted. And then I don't know if the light's charged anymore. Plausibly charged, but it's got, it's been sitting parked for a while. I'm not expecting miracles out of it. But you can put it and then just sit it, and this is heavy. This base is super heavy. And you can just park it, and then you could, so you could pivot it so that it's shooting straight down like this. And it's designed originally for streamers. So it's got a light the light's not on, but this is a light and this is a light. No, because the battery's dead. But the idea is that you put your phone in here and then you hold it for a streaming, so that you can do streaming and go, hi, I'm here doing my streaming or whatever. We have this microphone that goes for it, so you can put the microphone on your collar. We went to a convention, so I put it on an extender so I could extend. Oh, here you could talk into the microphone. But yeah, I mean, and it's really kind of cool. Yeah, here's the other half of it. So this plugs into the bottom. Lydia, you're in. This piece plugs into the bottom of your phone, and it Bluetooth connects to this piece.
Okay.
And you're still on. Well, why are you dead? It's like, if you're still working, why are you dead? Anyway, so this is my little like travel kit for whenever I decide to go try to broadcast from Starbucks. Because I use this guy to broadcast from Starbucks. But the only reason I'm saying that is because I've also thought about using something similar to this to mount my camera up there, or just mount the phone directly over the piece of paper, and then I can take the piece of paper and take a picture of it. And because I've got boxes upon boxes upon boxes back here, and the scanner takes forever to scan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the scanner will scan it, sure, but it's going to take, you know, it's got to go through its, you know, sort of thing. Whereas a photograph takes only a click. And if it's just this one thing, you know, like the idea or the concept of it, like I've got some paperwork that's, you know, my grandfather's driver's license. Hey, it's cool to have. It's cool to see.
If you want, we have a bigger version of that. It's meant for mounting a regular camera. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Let me see if I can pull it out real quick. Here.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's meant for like a DSLR or an SLR or anything. But
Yeah. Well, that's what I've got the other guy.
you could probably find a camera mount that mounts to the same thing.
Well, that's the standard camera mount. This guy.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, that's this guy. So I could mount that guy aimed straight down too.
Mm-hmm.
Picture of it.
We'll put this back.
Yep. Where'd you get that?
Online, Amazon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Was it really expensive or?
Bill, the price of it was what?
Like 100 something, I think.
That's not bad.
What kills me about half this stuff is it's the most basic thing ever, but because it's such a niche thing, it's always expensive to get.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is that my biggest problem is that I'm going to probably build one for multiple reasons. When it's a single arm like that, clicking it makes the arm do this. And so some of the pictures end up blurry because, you know, click it just long enough. So you have to use the remote for
There's
it.
a time function. You know how the time function where you click it and then you can get it in frames, like if you're doing a group photo? I use that same function, so I can click it and then let it go, and then it'll wobble a little bit, and then it'll stabilize, and then it'll
Yeah, and I actually have found the touch screen function is good for that on my camera. I'll lift the screen up to like a 90-degree angle like this and put it on a touch screen, so if you touch it, any touch on the screen will cause the trigger to go off. And I can gently touch the screen enough that it doesn't shake the whole camera, you know. Pulling the trigger, that shakes the whole camera, but check, you know. And the good news is that, you know, of course, they super balance those things so that the shutter moving doesn't actually cause it to move. And I actually kind of like the shutters, which is good because they're going to mirrorless now. And the new mirrorless ones they don't have a shutter anymore, but everybody wants them, which means they're dumping their perfectly good, you know, like T8, T9, you know, Canons, which means that the bodies are coming down in price, which is great because, you know, I don't have $1,000 to spend on a new camera.
Right.
So, you know, it'd be nice to get it down to something reasonable where like the newer ones that have a higher resolution, but they are still using a mirror. They don't want to, you know, people are getting rid of it. So, I want the mirrorless ones because they like the idea that it doesn't click. And I don't blame them. I have no idea what they're shooting, but I like the sound of a shutter going off.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's comforting to me. It sounds like I actually did a thing. You know?
Right.
You know, it also tells me that the camera did the thing it was supposed to do.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's why in the shutterless ones, it still makes a sound effect. It's just a little speaker doing it.
But a lot of people are turning that off. Unless it's Japanese, they're turning it off.
Oh, really?
Japanese can't turn it off by law because too many people were taking pictures of skirts of girls.
Yeah.
And so, or in locker rooms or whatever. So they decided that they made a law that now all phones must click when they take a picture, or beep or something, so you can hear that somebody's taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is sad that that's the nature of the world.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, oh man, guys. So,
Well, it's like, so going back to the topic of electric cars, even in modern cars, actually, not even electric cars, just traditional gas cars, the clicker, when you turn your left turning signal or right turning signal, oftentimes now there's a digital system making the speakers in your car make that ticking noise.
Yeah.
Because we're so used to it now. Because now it's just a chip that does it. It's not a relay that's clacking back and forth.
right. That there's some weird. I don't know. I love that relay. I had one of those in my first car, and the door relay broke. So like the sensor broke, so it just you'd open the door and it'd go ee, and you close the door and it'd still go ee, and it wouldn't shut up. And I was like, oh crap, I'm not driving this thing while it's doing that. So I had to reach under the dashboard and I'm trying to find the stupid thing. And it's a little electric buzzer. So I had to grab it and pull it out of its little socket, but of course it hadn't moved in like 20 years or whatever. And so it was as I was it's still one of those. That was the weirdest like era, like story that I've ever. That Vega was something else. I had a 1974 Chevy Vega. That was my first real car, and it was such a mess. But I bought it for $175, so that wasn't bad at all. And it was my learning car. The first thing we had to do was strip the engine all the way down and rebuild it from the ground up.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, it's like the thing, because it had, the Vega had an aluminum engine, and aluminum gets hot and melts. And so what they did was they put these steel sleeves in the cylinder bores. But after a bazillion years, the piston would come up and the sleeve would come up. So you'd end up with this and then oil would go everywhere, start burning its own oil, and so you had to pull the engine apart, pull out the sleeves, and put in new sleeves. So we had to pull the engine out, take it all the way apart, pop the sleeves out, put new sleeves in, and then put the engine all back together again. So that was my experience. That was the summer for me, and so it was something else. For that summer. But flip side, now that I'm a driving instructor, anytime anybody in my classroom goes, how does this work? I'm like, well, let me tell you. So this is connected to this, and this is connected to this, and I can tell you how all of this works and how we do this. Which apparently actually got one of our other teachers, she couldn't answer those questions, and so there was a complaint about that and stuff, and it was kind of sad. Because she's like, I don't know how cars work. And they're like, are you a driving instructor? Sort of thing. And so it was kind of one of those sad things. She's a teacher, not a car guy. But I'm a car person. So, I wanted to know. It was useful. Not only did I take the engine apart, but I wanted to know why. So I took the engine apart.
The most I ever got in the cars was taking the stereo out, installing new speakers, a new stereo, all that jazz.
Yeah, that's the easy job.
You always find out you have to pop the doors off, and you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
Right.
Or at least not the door, but
the inside piece, the inside panels.
Panels,
yeah. Panels off. I like it. Nice.
So that's as much as the cars I have ever gotten. Maybe once I get an electric car, it'll be completely different, because now it's just a rolling computer.
Well, it is, but also, I mean, electric motors are stupid simple.
Right.
I mean, they're not complicated. It's a bunch of copper wire with magnets.
Hmm.
I mean, it's really, really, really easy.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why, whenever I get into these arguments, I get so frustrated. I'm like, guys, you have no idea. Electric motor doesn't explode. It's rated to 1 billion miles.
Mhm.
You literally can drive an electric car for 1 billion miles before you have to do anything with the motor. I mean,
Right.
that's a major deal. Having rebuilt motors in my day, I mean, we only had 250,000 or 300,000 miles on that motor when I bought that car. If you think about that.
Probably not. The governors are actually set so high that it's like a speed that I would never want to go, anyways.
Shrug.
Right.
I would never take a vehicle very fast.
Mhm.
But I mean, vehicles are a thing for me. I love any kind of machine. I love airplanes. I love spaceships. I love cars. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. Some people don't, and that's okay.
It's funny
I don't understand those people at all.
where I'm from in Florida, Palm Beach area, there were a lot of roads where no one ever really drove on them, and they were behind communities and stuff. And so if you really wanted to see what your car could do, you would drive onto that road and you would just gun it. And you had a good while before you had to worry about slowing down and braking. And so you could get up to some pretty high speeds.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found any roads out here in Colorado. It's every road here in Colorado is used all the time.
Right.
It's nowhere to go and I'm just going to gun it and see what my car can do.
There's one spot that we usually, coming down from Coal Creek Canyon, I think it's Highway 72. If you come down from the canyon and stop at the light, when the light turns green, if you gun it, then by the time you cross the railroad tracks, that's 1/4 of a mile exactly. So by the time you hit the railroad tracks, you can see how fast you're going, and at least then you can do the math.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You check what your speedometer says at that point. Because you have to do it coming from the canyon, though. You have to come from Coal Creek Canyon to the light, and then cross into the Denver side, so to speak. So right there by Rocky Flats, that ones are standardized to see how fast the cars were when we were younger. That's what we would do: is we roll out Coal Creek Canyon, turn around, come back down. You don't have to go very far. And then you just come back down and come to the light, and then when the light turns green, gun it, and then see what the speed is when you cross the tracks. And that gives you a good number, which is exactly how I know that electric is the fastest car I've ever driven. Because I have driven some cars that went over those tracks at some pretty phenomenal speeds, but I've never hit almost 90 before in a quarter. Right? That's the fastest I've ever gone. And I'm like, I actually started to lay back because I'm like, okay, I think we're going to have control problems when we get over the tracks.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't want to lose control of the vehicle going over those tracks. So I actually laid off a little. Never done that before. I mean, I had and we would take, my buddy was really into taking those old little Vegas and putting in 350 Chevy 8 cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the super light subcompacts with these epic 8-cylinder with dual 4-cylinder or dual 4-barrel carburetors. So, he put one barrel for each cylinder, which is serious carburation. So, these were not stock cars at all. These were racing beasts. And that's still faster. Electrics are a faster vehicle. And so I'm like, and I did not get our Leaf for the environmental side. My wife did, because she's a hippie. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't sold on it. I was like, okay, I mean, you're a hippie. If you want to buy an environmental doodly wop, that's totally cool. As long as it accomplishes the job of getting me to work and back, I don't care. Right. I didn't mind. I was just like, I still have my Jetta. I still have my 5-speed, and I'm happy, and I'm perfectly content. But then when we went to go get it, the guy at the dealership was like, he took her around the block with it and everything all nicely, and she doesn't drive very fast at all. And then he separated us and he put me in the car next without her. And then he said, we got onto the street. He said, stand on it. And I was like, okay, I'm awake now. And he's like, here you were a car guy.
Right.
So I wanted you to know, you're one of those people. And so he was like, stand on it. And I was like, dude. At that point in time, I'm like, I am in. Because I was totally willing to let her be a hippie and do her hippie thing. I was fine. That was okay. She did that. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
As long as she doesn't make me swap out for hippie things, we're fine, So that's why I usually get so aggravated when the EV conversations go political. Like, you're only doing this because you're liberal. And I'm like, actually, no. Honest to goodness, when I started this whole thing, I was totally willing to let my wife be a hippie liberal all the way to whatever, as long as it did the job. I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
I bought in when they made me stand on it. Right. Like, yep, I'm in. This thing's a monster. It's a beast. I love that.
When I'm looking for a new car, if I'm looking for an EV, I just want to know that it doesn't need to be connected to the internet, that every feature of the car I get when I buy it. I don't need to pay some kind of subscription model to enjoy any part of the car.
Right.
And at no point can anyone, without being physically there to intervene with the car, can turn it off remotely.
Right. I think, though, that day is coming and it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I fear that day is around the corner and there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm really annoyed. Because that's not an EV problem. Because the first cars that had that were BMWs, the 6i series. They were the first ones where they had auto stop and auto kill. And they'd kill your car. They could kill your car remotely. And that was a big deal. And those were gas cars. And so, that this is not exclusive to the EV market.
Or prevent me from charging my car.
Right. Well, we have 2 dryer outlets in our garage. It charges my car just fine. We've used the charging networks out there, but only because of the novelty of it. Like Bojos will have a charger. And so we're like, ooh, we'll charge the car when we're here, but it's at 98%, so it charges the last 2% for us, and we're like, thank you.
I don't know if you saw that thing, like in California, the Tesla owners were getting a message on their car that says, please don't charge your car right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not cool. I mean, granted, they weren't prevented from charging their vehicles. It was just a modal that popped up that said, please don't do it right now. The grid's overloaded or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that people were talking about the grid being overloaded. It was overloaded because of the ACs. So, not the EVs. It was
no, it wasn't EVs, but anyone using it, they wanted to not put the least amount of load on the grid as you could at the moment. And I'm like, if that came down and they could then say prevent you from charging your vehicle, like, well, what if I had solar? How would they know I had solar? Am I still not allowed to then charge my car? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's coming. That's coming because, of course, they're doing the same thing with gas cars here. We're at, what is it? Ozone level, high alert, whatever it's called, where it says don't gas up your lawnmowers and don't mow your lawns right now, and stuff like that. We've got those here. It's just that. So as soon as they got control over your car's starter, the gas car is going to get shut down on high ozone alert days too. So
see, that's what I'll hack. That's what I'll be hacking. I'll be like, no. I'm charging my vehicle.
If they do that, you and I are on the same boat. You can help me hack my cars so that they won't do that either. But I'm sure that there will be firmware out there, or software out there, probably even firmware. Right. You plug this thing into the jack, and all of a sudden your car goes off the line. No longer connected.
But then they'll do things like if you're in an accident and they find that your car's ROM was flashed, that you're uninsurable.
Right, that's going to happen. Like I said, I hate to say this, my friend, but I feel like that day is inevitable.
I'm fighting it.
I'll fight it. I'll fight it right with you. You and I will fight it to the bitter end. However, I have noticed in my day. Yeah. I'm all on board with fighting that to the bitter end, by the way. I am not on board with it. I mean, even as a staunch liberal, I'm not on board with the government having control over my vehicle. You know, like, not hot on that.
Right.
So, but also because it also means that it's not just the government. It means that VW has control over my vehicle or Nissan has control over my vehicle. And I also don't like that.
Right.
And you know, all of this subscription service crap, that's all a company. You know, that's not the government, that's the company going, ooh,
Yeah, no, that's
you to pay us $100 a month. You know?
That is a marketing scheme, and someone explained it. It makes a lot of sense. Is the vehicle, when you have all this stuff in it, it's really expensive on the line to produce like 12 different versions of the same car.
Right.
Like one's with the heated seats, one without the heated seats, one with the heated steering wheel, one with both, one with one or the other. And so it's really expensive to do that. So the idea is, instead of making a car with everything that the user can't afford, why don't we just disable half of it, let the user buy it at a cheaper price, and then they can add them later as they want them, which sounds nice. And I could see the benevolent intention there. But also, it's like, if I'm paying for the vehicle and the parts in there, I want it.
Well, that's
Own it now.
too, is instead of the logic escapes me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, let's say you buy a car and it's $1. To add this function is 10 cents. Let's just say, just to make math easy, because you know me. So why not just, and you can't charge $1.10 because nobody can afford that. So instead, you're still going to put the 10 cents of equipment in all of those cars so that you can save the $5 it costs to put them into the different variations. Why not just say we've saved the $5? Congratulations, all heated seats. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we do that and then like maybe raise the general price by like a penny, so it's $1.01 for all cars, and you just say, hey, we saved $5 in construction costs, so we're instead
Uh-oh, you're breaking up. Oh, we may have lost you. Oh, no. Someone hit the reset guy button.
I think the stream's gone too long. Maybe I've gone too long. I'm back.
Yes.
I dropped all the way out. Yeah. My network went all the way down, didn't it? Anyway, all I was saying was I don't know why that's not the default thought process.
Well, first off, the whole thing about the economic feasibility of a project is typically the cost is based off of like the volume. So the more volume you have of something, the cheaper it is to do it per item because you're buying everything in massive bulk. Well, okay, doesn't that apply to building vehicles too? If they're going to have all the parts and all the features, and you're doing that times 1 million, isn't that now bulk pricing you down?
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. Because, I mean, that's one of the things is like Mariah's looking at replacing the Leaf because we've been leasing. And that's the other thing that's irritating is we've been leasing because we were afraid of, oh no, what if we have to replace the battery pack? You know what I mean? And of course, the truth of the matter is all this arguing with people online has actually made my position much clearer. And that is, we had a Chevy Aveo, which is what we traded in to get the first Leaf back in 2015. It blew out a transmission for $6,700. Then it popped a hole in the radiator, and the only way to replace the radiator was to drop the engine. So that was going to be another $3,100. So within a 2-month span, we had already gone past 10 grand.
Right.
And they're all sitting there going, but the battery packs are 10 grand. And I'm like, yeah, but battery packs, even if you talk about like this battery pack in my phone, it goes down slowly over like a year. So we've got a year to worry about a 10 grand repair, whereas that Aveo went to 11 grand within a month.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be paid right now, or we weren't going to work. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, cars are just freaking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so I was like, weighing that out, I was sitting there doing that whole thing, and so now that's actually part of the reason why I'm annoyed is because we got a lease because they scared us into the media scared us into getting a lease so that we wouldn't have to deal with that 10 grand battery pack problem.
Right.
And now I'm like, so in other words, we're going to end up paying like 4 grand because she's gone over at miles on the lease because they bamboozled us into that. I'm like, people are making money off of this scare tactic thing. And I'm aggravated because so the next Leaf we're buying. And she's going to buy it outright. It's going to be ours. We're going to own it. And if it does blow out the battery pack someday, we'll pay the 10 grand to replace the battery pack. It's not a big deal if you think about it. It costs that off payout. So, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I get aggravated and annoyed by all of that stuff because I don't mind the politics part. We can argue whether it's environmentally, sound, whether it costs more per mile if you count in using the power grid, whether the power grid has the capacity to hold it, things like that. That's all kind of meta, and that's you know what I mean? I don't mind arguing that. I've got some kind of good points on it and bad points on it and stuff like that. But when it's thrown in my face, like, haha, you're not a very good environmentalist. I'm like, I wasn't an environmentalist to begin with. I'm into this car because it's freaking fast. And frankly, cost us like 11 cents a gallon during the summer when everybody else was paying like $5 a gallon, So the equivalent cost of that, we just stopped driving the Jetta altogether during the summer. We parked it,
My other concern at the time was the distance traveled and the time to recharge. But I think they've done a lot with putting, like, every hotel we stayed at when we were going down to Texas had a charger.
Yeah.
So you park at a hotel, charge, and stay the night. Now they have that charger in different places. So
it's 250 miles to a charge. That's like 3 hours of driving.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a long ass time. And you should get out every 350 or 3 hours and walk around for 20 minutes is good for you, And so if it takes 15 minutes at a Level 3 charger to charge it back up, that's no big deal.
The new Lucid that's out, I don't know if you've seen that one, has even further mileage than the Tesla does.
Yeah.
So, like, that one was like closer to 500. So.
Yeah. And it depends on the wattage of the batteries, but yeah, I mean, that's fine, and that's totally cool. That's what we were thinking. Starbucks is going to start putting in Level 2 chargers at their locations, and I'm like, that's a smart move. I'll stop at a Starbucks, charge the car back up, drink coffee, walk around a little bit, use the bathroom, get some food, and I'm back on the road again. And that's actually a reasonable thing. I don't know. I mean, so this is becoming so much so that when we trade in the Jetta, I'm trading it in for an ID Buzz, which is the Volkswagen Plus, all electric. Because once we've gotten over range anxiety, we don't really need a gas car anymore. It's just expensive.
Yeah.
And, it costs a lot to gas the stupid thing up. You have to do regular oil changes. There's all this junk you have to do to a gas car that you don't have to do with an electric. And now that we've got 2 dryer outlets in the garage, it's 4 hours to charge them up. They're Level 2, but it's still 4 hours. But legitimately, you never travel more than 250 miles in a day. Right. That's a long ass drive. That's a lot of driving in a day, and that's more than we've ever really needed. And now that we've gotten over range anxiety, That's the biggest problem with range anxiety is like, what if we run out of power? And
Well,
we
when we go to do our long driving, like North Carolina or
Yeah.
Texas, wherever we're going, we'll do typically 6 to 8 hours a day. So,
and what my best friend, his whole thing was rent a car then. Put the miles on the rental car anyway. You're going to spend a lot of money. The money you save driving an electric for your regular everyday means that you can afford the extra money to put into a rental car when you go on a trip. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a good point, But that's the other thing. The ID Buzz we're going to deck it out to be a road car. That's going to be our road trip vehicle.
nice.
So we're gonna put little beds in there and everything like that, so that we can stop at campsites, because campsites have power for the RVs, and those are level 3 chargers. So you can go in and stop at a campsite, plug the ID4 Buzz or ID Buzz in. It'll be fully charged in about 3 hours, and you go to sleep, take a nap, whatever, rest, and then get back on the road again. And all you have to do is find the KOA campsites. Open the windows, kind of, snooze for a bit. Yeah. You can get a schoolie. Goofball. He wants to buy a school bus and convert it.
I'm right there for that.
Right.
I am all about that. I have looked at short buses. I have looked at long buses. I have been looking at buses. And you can definitely... The drawback is outfitting the engine for the extra weight for appliances if you decide to put appliances in.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, I wanted, when I was a kid, I really wanted to convert a school bus and put a big telescope in the back. So I would drive out to Nowheresville and then, open the doors in the back on the top of the bus and bring out the telescope and then and then I even had, like, in the design, I even had those little arms that go out the side, like that you see, like, cranes and stuff have. I was going to put those on there so that it would sit and not rock at all, so that you could, like, really lock it down. I was all into that.
I actually wanted to get a VW bus and a bus van and live out of that. And I think I had that dream starting at 15 years old.
Yeah.
There's still part of me that still wants to do it.
That's what the ID Buzz is. It's their new bus. So Volkswagen's releasing the bus again, the modern bus, just that it's electric.
Yeah, and I saw
that. Have a lot more room because they don't need all the stuff.
I saw it and I do like it. The only problem is like I still would want to do it so that, like, I think they have a feature where you can actually put it like more like a living situation now. Whereas before they were just like rows of seats and then you had to tear it all out.
You mean for the bus?
Oh wait, no, for the bus, no, they had that. I'm thinking the van.
Yeah, I mean, the ID Buzz is set up the same way as the old buses are. So it's got 3 rows of seats that have this, and you pull the latches and you just set the seats in your garage.
You're just getting that because you're a hippie.
Yeah, exactly. I say that because I'm a hippie. In that instance, though, I think there's something about traveling the world with your hippie wife, and you have to kind of have a VW bus.
Right.
I mean, like, it fits the entire genre. Like, it's kind of like a thing you gotta do. But if your wife is like San Francisco born, Californian hippie, you kind of have to have her in a bus. I totally married a hippie. I mean, she's a lovely hippie. I love her so much. She does all kinds of weird things like compost. I don't understand compost, but that's all right. The squirrels love it, so I'm
tell you
what she wants.
Despite our long driving habits, I would want like a Tesla just for the auto driving, because half of your driving is just this strip of road with nothing, and you just have to sit there like dealing with the person in front of you that's speeding up and slowing down and speeding up and slowing down, and your leg starts hurting. And it's like, I want the Tesla just for that.
Some of the
Battery, I don't care. I just want to not have to deal with the people in front of me. Let the car do it.
yeah, somebody out there, and I don't know who, has super cruise is what they call it. And all it does is you turn it on and it keeps you in the lane and levels you to the car in front of you. So that you don't have to slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up. So when you turn on super cruise, it just keeps your distance to the car in front of you and holds you in the lane.
That's all I want.
It still wants you paying attention because it doesn't know how to handle, construction sites or heavy traffic. But yeah, you're out in the middle of, I-70 in the middle of Kansas.
Yeah.
There's nobody out there. It just goes
like,
forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. Even when we're in the car and I'm using cruise control, I have to turn it off when I'm going through construction. I don't want to be barreling through whatever cruise I'm doing.
But that's what I mean is like it wants you to disconnect when you get to those stages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah, that's what I want. If it comes on battery, then I'm a battery person, I guess.
Yeah. Well, all of that's the other thing that bothers me about the argument. The difference between EVs and gas cars, none of that stuff, all of the things that are coming with the classic EVs that are brought by Tesla are being put into all the gas cars too.
Right.
All of those things to be put into a gas car, and they are. So that's why I'm saying, I hate to say this, my friend, but I think all of the problems that you're saying are going to hit us whether we like it or not. Because I feel like they figured out how to, like I said, that auto stop function or that pay for all of your different things, that's in a BMW. That's not even an electric BMW. That's in their normal 6i series.
Right.
So, that's the one where they disconnect everything if you don't pay the subscription.
Right. And here's the other thing that I have disbelief in is that you're telling me I'm getting the car cheaper because you didn't enable these things. I don't believe you.
Right. Well,
I am definitely paying more than I should.
Right. Well, what if we're to get somebody in there who bumped the firmware and allows everything to be activated, and then asks it so that BMW can't see it? You know what I mean? Like, as far as BMW is concerned, your heated seats don't work, but they really do work.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's not going to take long for somebody to figure that out,
right,
and hack the car, and because that's the first thing. I think if I were in your position or Brent's position, that's the first thing I would do. Just figure out how to hack it, buy the base model for $5 and a cookie, and then hack it so that it tells everybody that I'm still driving a base model. Meanwhile, all the things work. So that they won't invalidate my. I'd take the risk that if they found it in a car that was crashed in an accident.
Those are going to be the really interesting court cases of the future of, it's my car, I paid for it, I am the owner, do I have the right to modify it to enable features that are in the car that I own?
Right. And I think we will find that the answer will be no. And it's because that's what they do with Windows.
Right.
I don't own this operating system. Effectively, and Adobe, all of Adobe. I don't own any of that unless I pay them $50 a month. I have no right to my own software, which, we did the math. I've already paid something in the order of $6,500 now because I've had Creative Cloud for a very long time. And if you count $50 a month, it's like something in the order of $6,500 now. That's far more than what you'd expect the software to be at the price point. And you can kind of see why they're into this plan.
Right.
They forced me to pay $6,500, and I'm an artist. I don't make that much money. But
I do know that there are some court cases coming up that are going to be tackling some of that, not in the car realm, but in the computer realm of, you should be able to stop paying your subscription, but still use the software that you've paid for, but you just don't get updates.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen with Clip Studio, because that's what they're doing with Clip. And I'm annoyed. They're going to go to a subscription model, but the subscription model is going to be as soon as you don't pay the subscription, then you're just cut off from updates. Excuse me. Updates.
Which I'm fine with that model because I'm all about paying for the work that they're doing for a quality product.
I am too. And the problem I've got is that particular model really does prey on people like me because I have memory issues. So if I start paying you $5 a month, I won't realize that I'm not supposed to pay Brent $5 a month because I don't have the money. So then I'll end up paying Brent $5 a month and then you $5 a month. And before I catch on, I'm overdrawn in all my bank accounts.
Right. Well, here's the other problem with that
And that's
too.
not their problem. It's,
Right.
Because they don't care because it still comes out of the bank accounts. So
This is a big negative of the subscription model people don't realize, especially in software, is if we were back in the old model and you bought Adobe, you paid several $100s for the suite, right? You install it, nothing about your computer changes. You could use that software for years. I mean, whatever bugs it has, it'll still have them, but it'll keep working because it never changes, right? And the subscription model is as software develops, it tends to consume more resources because they're also keeping track of computer trends. So as computers get more resources, more powerful, well, now your computer's not changing. It didn't get a new processor. It didn't get new RAM. So now you're paying for software that they're going to install on it, and your computer can't run anymore. So what do you have to do? Well, now you need to pay for a new computer too.
Yep. Well, and that's kind of my ongoing issue with all of these things. And what bothers me is things like this. The text function in Clip Studio has been horrible forever. So if they modify that, if they fix that, I would consider Clip Studio Paint to be perfect. I don't need it to go any further. It makes comic books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need any better software out of it. I'm okay with it as it stands. So the fact that they're going to a subscription model is fine, except that what'll probably happen is in version 3, they'll be like, oh, we finally fixed the text bubbles. So you don't have to export the entire comic to Photoshop to put in the text bubbles anymore. We fixed that. And I'll be like, great. So then I have to go upgrade all the way up to version 3 from version 1, pay all those upgrades to only find out that my PC then no longer, you know what I mean? Like, that's the problem with this whole loop issue. It does bother. And it does bother.
Yeah.
I agree. So that does kind of make me go,
Right.
So it's a thing. It's a thing. So
I'm going to be back. I need to blow my nose.
okay, well, actually, I'm going to go get lunch. So because I'm
Okay.
starving and my stomach's starting to do the burpee thing. So
Okay.
I'm going to head out. It was great talking to you, Bill.
Yes, great talking.
We'll be here tonight again, folks, and it was good talking to you, Brent, because you had things over there in the Brent and stuff. Bye, Pepper. I love you, Pepper. And
Bye. Bye.
Keep your eye on the stars.
Bye.